Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome back to Elaborations with E. I'm your host, Eva, here to be your guide and your best friend as we discuss spirituality and life in both esoteric and practical ways. Lately, I have been thinking a lot about a character that I have resonated with since I was a teenager, and that is the character of Elphaba from Wicked. But many of you will know Elphaba from the recent John M. Chu Wicked films. In the musical and in the films, there is a specific shift that happens to her at the end of the first act. And recently I was watching an episode of one of my favorite YouTube channels called Cinema Therapy. I'm not sponsored, but this channel is hosted by filmmaker Alan Seawright and licensed therapist Jonathan Decker. And on this episode that they did called Psychology of a Villain, where they broke down the psychology behind Elphaba's character and the ways in which she acts throughout both films, Jonathan pointed out something absolutely brilliant. He said that Elphaba becomes self-centered, but not in the way that we usually mean it. She does not suddenly become selfish or cold or ego-driven or apathetic. In fact, she is one of the most empathetic characters in the entire story. And what happens, though, is that she becomes centered within herself when her faith in the systems and people around her completely breaks. Because she realizes that if she wants to see change in Oz, she has to be the change. She has to be the catalyst. So she stops waiting for a hero and realizes that she is the one that she has been waiting for this entire time. So today, I want to talk to you about how this applies to our self-concept when we are navigating throughout the world, especially when we are looking at manifesting a new life for ourselves. Because when your identity is tied to your circumstances or to external pillars or things or people especially, you are always at the mercy of the world. But when your circumstances are tied to your identity, you become the agent and advocate of your own reality, and you are able to act upon those things that you know need to happen in order for you to see change. So let's start with the anchor problem. Most of us grew up being told to be altruistic and to put others first. We were also often told to look for external markers of success, like being able to find stable jobs with 401ks, because that is what good and successful people do. We made these external things the cornerstones of our identity because that is how we were influenced in our direct environments, especially in our earlier upbringing. But when you go about life with your center of gravity being outside of yourself, whether it is in a job, a partner, or a set of rules that someone else gave you, you are setting yourself up for a crisis of faith later on. Because what happens when the job disappears? Whether you get laid off or the company decides to eliminate that position. What happens when that person leaves? If things outside of you were your center, you will lose your grounding in reality. And that is where having a healthy self-concept really comes into play. Because when you have a healthy self-concept, you move that anchor back inside of yourself. You recenter yourself. And you realize that you are the one who keeps yourself grounded. You are the one moving the ship forward. It's not about being the main character in a way that ignores others. It is about recognizing that you are the only person who can truly advocate for your highest calling and your highest potential. And that brings me to point number 2, agency versus advocacy. Because there is a huge difference between allowing someone else to have agency over your life and you becoming your own advocate. Think about the career paths that we may choose in life. It is so easy to do what other people will tell you is safe. It's so easy to lean into getting a job that seems practical. A job such as a retail job where you're climbing the corporate ladder, or any other kind of job where you have a set schedule, a set amount of pay, and you know what you're doing. But if you have a dream of being an author or a creator or an entrepreneur, or you want to break out of the status quo, you have to be comfortable with the discomfort of believing in yourself so much when no one else has the vision yet. You have to be the one saying, I believe in my ability to do this, and I believe in my ability to have the life that I desire. Because let's face it, you cannot always rely on the external world to give you fulfillment. You have to create it internally and bring it outward. And that is where true manifestation actually happens. It's not just wishing for things and like wishing on a star and saying, I want this, it's going to come to me. Manifestation is also about having a self-concept that says, I am the kind of person who sees things through. I am the kind of person who deserves these things. I am the kind of person who deserves what I desire. And I am my own biggest fan. Because if you aren't your own best friend and you aren't your own first motivator, finding that externally is going to be an excruciating uphill battle. Because people can champion you, yes. They can motivate you, they can hold you accountable, they can be the person at your side that helps you get through certain things and helps you to continue advocating for yourself and helps you to continue getting up off the couch when all you want to do is veg out in front of the TV. But the other person cannot be the engine for you. And that brings me to point number 3, the grace of the center. Because I know from firsthand experience that it can feel wrong initially to bring that center back to yourself, especially when you have spent your whole life being the helper or the altruistic one, or you have lived your life within the parameters of someone else's worldview because they told you that they knew what was best for you. Centering yourself can feel like a betrayal of your nature when it goes against everything that you have been taught. But I want to give you permission to find a healthy balance and to break the chains of thinking that your life has to just go one way. Centering yourself is actually one of the most empathetic things that you can do in this world. It is actually one of the most altruistic things that you can do as well. Because when you are solid in who you are, you have more to give to the world. You have a better way of showing up in the world. When you understand yourself, you are able to be the best version of yourself around each and every person that you interact with. And when Elphaba chose to trust her own power, she was finally able to actually fight for the things that she cared about. She could not do that when she was still trying to fit into the wizard's box and at some point even Glinda's box. You have to be okay with those defying gravity moments of your life. The moments where you, like Elphaba, say, I'm through accepting limits because someone says they're so. And that isn't being self-absorbed, it's being self-actualized. So how do we start shifting that center of gravity in our lives? First, identify the external pillars. Take a really good look at your life and ask yourself these questions. If this specific thing was taken away tomorrow, my job or my status or my relationship, would I still know who I am? If I didn't have these circumstances playing out, would I still know who I am? If the answer is no, it is time to start building some internal pillars. Number 2, be your own first advocate. Next time you have a big idea or a goal, don't go looking for a yes from someone else first. Give yourself the yes first. Even if you have to have another person helping you get to the point where you need to be, give yourself permission first. Tell yourself yes first. Practice being your own motivator before you seek an audience. And that ties back to the Art of Silence episode that we did recently as well. Keep it silent until you have to have another person's input. And number 3, the grace check. Give yourself grace for the discomfort of being your own center of gravity. Give yourself grace for the discomfort of believing in yourself so much that you actually take necessary risks. Because it feels weird to prioritize your visions over someone else's expectations. But I invite you to sit with that weirdness. And when you're doing that, remind yourself, I am the creator of this reality that I desire, and I am allowed to be the center of my own life. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this episode gives you a little bit of that energy to take into your week. And remember, like Elphaba, you don't need a wizard to tell you that you are powerful. You just need to trust the person staring back at you when you look in the mirror. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, hit the notification icon, and come find me on Instagram at elaborations.with.e. As I mentioned before, the page is a bit minimal right now because I'm focusing on my own seed phase and centering my creative vision, but I cannot wait to connect with you there. Take care of yourselves, be your own champions, and I will see you again in the next episode. Bye for now.